cracking with you people?
We are back.
Nazi and X here, and we just got done watching the first of the 3 DLCs for Mafia 3. I say first of it, it's the first one we found. We watched Stones Unturned.
Yeah.
Now I have never seen Stones Unturned to this point. You, how far are you into Stones Unturned?
So I only got to part which in the beginning phase.
Okay, so you never finished Stones Unturned.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this is basically our first time watching through. So the premise behind Stones Unturned is I think it takes place after one of the DLCs because there's this nice card they commented on.
Yeah, it's happened.
And you know the basic premise is that this actually evolves around John Donovan. Apparently he had a buddy back in the day named Aldridge, and this was somebody that apparently he wildly looked up to, and he went AWOL. He turned to a traitor to the country, and this is about stopping this traitor from getting his hands on a nuke to then sell to the NVA or the VC, which I think the NVA is short for North Vietnamese Army, and the VC is short for Viet Cong.
Yeah.
So he's going to sell to one of those two, and it's an interesting story. It's a short one. I think we watched the cutscenes here. The cutscenes altogether about an hour long, so the game, so the DLC might be like an hour and a half, 2 hours long at most. Not a bad DLC, I would say.
No, it's not. But I really find it interesting, you know, like, cause when I first see John, his character in Mafia 3, he has calm, smart, intelligent, smart behavior. I first see him, but in this one, the DLC, he's worried. His hands are shaking.
He's rattled.
Yeah, and he's more antsy and more angry about it. Just like even when people mention his name Aldridge, he gets fired up and get more angry.
Like there's one part where it's a driving conversation.
Yeah.
It happens more and more nowadays.
Yeah.
Where your two characters in the car are talking and half the time how you drive from one point to another. It helps pass the time. It really does. But what's wrong for here? But he forgets his cigarettes at the location where Aldridge has just got done shooting up this entire birthday party. And Blinking calls out, "Yeah, you seem a lot more rattled than usual, man. You need to unwind or something like that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "The only way I'll unwind is when I put a bullet in this guy's fucking head." So it's interesting because the main game Donovan is more eccentric than anything else.
Yep.
His normal is what someone would consider being live all the time.
Yeah.
So he's always mellow. He's always in control. He's always in the moment. Nothing seems to face. He's always on point. This DLC, while it is about him, we don't really learn much about him. We just learn about a particular event in his past.
Yeah, exactly.
But it ultimately doesn't add more context to the narrative of the game.
Yeah.
Because his whole central conceit is that the guy that, Aldridge, essentially just betrayed the United States to essentially communists, and we go off to Mexico at some point, and we gun down these mercs. We find out that we're always like a step behind Aldridge. Well, I didn't always step. It's like 3 times it happens.
Yeah.
It's not too crazy. We're not looking at James Bond here.
Yeah. No.
Gets on his pistols for once, so it helps make stealth section a lot easier. Which if I was in the base, I don't freaking know. But the game ultimately, the story ultimately ends with Aldridge and Donovan having a heart to heart. Aldridge has a bullet in his stomach. Donovan, they sit down. He smokes a cigarette, lets Donovan smoke it too, and we find out that Donovan's motivation for doing this is, well, it is a flimsy reason for why he's doing this, because it's ultimately a small scale thing as opposed to a big picture moment. It is a commentary, at least I think they're trying to make a commentary on the state of how America treats its soldiers.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing was that you never see the big picture. Vietnam isn't a domino. Nothing's gonna fall. It's a backwater. No one cares about it. If you take it, you take it. If you don't take it, we don't take it. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
What matters is that all these guys we have over here just want to go home. They're sick of it, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And he said, well, what was that? They serve this country proudly to come home, find out that they're not wanted, and that their girl is humping somebody who sleeping around with somebody who got discharged early for having heel spurs.
Yeah.
We basically send these people over to get mentally and physically screwed over, and then when they come back, we don't really take care of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's only getting a big payout from these people, and Donovan calls him out. And says, it doesn't matter what that's an excuse. You're just as greedy and self-centered as everybody else.
Yeah.
And Donovan is still, at the end of the story, America spandex stars and stripes loving dude that we know from the main game.
Yeah.
So ultimately the DLC, while it is nice, it's fun, the story is entertaining to a degree.
Yeah.
It's ultimately short, and I honestly feel like you could probably skip it.
Yeah, you can skip it. Yeah, you can like it. Like you said earlier, when you said it doesn't really delve into like who John Donovan truly is. Just a side of it, not fully of it. So yeah, I mean, you can skip the DLC. It means it doesn't fully connect to the story. So I mean, it's no point playing.
Yeah, it's just there. They have one random scene where, it's the documentary scene where John
Oh,
was interviewed
yeah.
by the senator.
Yeah,
Just to have him like, okay, when did you first meet Aldridge? And then
Yeah.
it just drops it. So it's ultimately superfluous.
Yes.
But I do appreciate that the actor playing John Donovan did show a wider range.
Yes.
Because he was always while he was fun and entertaining in the base game, that's all he really was. You never got to see him like show an emotional depth. Here, we saw him happy, then frustrated, then worried,
Yes.
then angry, then betrayed, and then he's back to where he was.
Yeah.
So we did see a good range, and
Yeah.
props to the actor for that. I think he did a very good job.
Yeah.
But ultimately, doesn't really add much to the story.
Nah.
If I can ask you something, when we have DLCs like this for games, do you prefer that it adds something significant to it, or are you okay with something like this where it's just simple fun?
It would depend on the game. If it's something like this, it's fine. But at the same time, I actually do want to know more about his character. So,
Yeah.
so it would depend on the game. But I would love to see, depending on what the game is, I would love to see more of the backstory of the character. If I'm following that character. If I'm not, then it's okay. If it's something like this, but if I am interested in that character, I want to see a backstory.
Yeah. Like for instance, the one thing I also want to add this addendum here. The only time we saw Donovan really change and really go outside of that manic kind of like eccentric personality was near the end of the game where he's having the interview with the
But yeah, so yeah.
But that's again one moment across the entire game
Yeah.
where we have all these characters interacting, bouncing off each other, and showing their own personal struggles and whatnot.
Yeah.
This one once again, fun. They introduced a new character, Marshall, but he's only in it.
Oh, Marshall's funny.
He's funny, but he's only in it. He's only in it like for a few minutes.
Yeah, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5-10 minutes. He really didn't add much.
Yeah.
He was just basically supposed to be. I feel like he was introduced to be our Donovan while Donovan was going through.
Yeah, that was it.
That's
what they were doing.
As for me personally, I would prefer that my DLCs add something of substance.
Yeah.
I would like for it to give, if not greater context to the story or to a character, then at least give greater context to something that happened within the story, was mentioned within the story.
Gotcha, yeah.
Otherwise, I can skip it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can skip it. And I think that's fine to have stuff like that, because there are people who want it, and you ultimately don't lose anything from it.
Yeah.
Having it, purchasing it, buying it, you're not going to lose anything.
You won't.
That's going to be time, but I think you're going to enjoy your time while playing it.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise,
I mean, yeah, it's okay.
not too crazy. Not too crazy. But anyway, this is a shorter episode of
Mafia 3 still
of Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
So next time we'll do another one. This will happen a couple of times if we have like shorter episodes or shorter movies that we want to talk about, but ultimately you can only go so far with.
Yeah, because again, it's a short DLC, so obviously you can't go far with it.
And it is important, I feel, to do this so that people can get an idea of what they're getting into before they purchase the DLC or purchase the game.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is you want to spend money on something and then regret it.
yeah, and this is not really worth the purchase.
Yeah. If it's like more than like $20, I would say no.
Yeah.
$20, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
About $10 an hour. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see you next week for the next Mafia DLC, and we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, deuces.
Peace.